welcome to ESO Daily. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. Alright guys, so I'm on the PTS and I'm just going over a few things. I had an idea. I just wanted to test it, check it, and whatever. But it allows me to come in here and play around. And I kind of like the PTS for that reason. Gives me ideas to work with. What I'm currently working on certain configurations and what I'm trying to move forward. Now, a lot of gamers in Elder Scrolls consider themselves theory crafters. That's fine. If you want to consider yourself a theory crafter, so be it. If that's the theory that you're going behind and what you're proposing. I don't consider myself a theory crafter. Consider myself a class builder. The reason I don't consider myself a theory crafter. Okay, let me get into this. I understand what I'm gaining for what I lose, right? And in this game, it's kind of important. So in today's video, I kind of want to demonstrate kind of values lost without any buffs, without anything, just basic 4-piece sets, marginal differences, and what happens when we apply proc sets, secondary, statics, and so on and so forth. So a lot of the things that we have to understand since Tamriel's came in, we've always had a static set, and then we wasn't really dependent on procs very much. Proc sets in Tamriel really introduced how we could capitalize on those effects, like such as Burning Spellweave or Scathing Mage, and increase our damage across both bars, right? But we'd give up, you know, a hard number for a chance to proc, right? That affects uptime and so on and so forth, because the more higher in your uptime, the more successful you're able to keep consistent amount of DPS. All right, there's no theory in that. There's no theory to that. That's a fact, right? So I have no Mundus, I have nothing, but like for example, I've got Niche's Touch on. I don't have the 5-piece on, right? I have 4 pieces of it. I already know if I use this as a static set, it's going to apply 386 spell damage to my shock damage as a static set. So if I go ahead and let's say I slot another piece, so I'll go in, I'll go with supplies, I'll go to Niche's Touch, and I'll put on, you know, the waist, for example. Oh, 1 second. Right. So I'm just gonna, you know, use the Fury. Hit it. 1001.98, right? That's with 5-piece. That's a static. That's a static set, right? 1001.98. Right there it is. So I'm going to take off the belt. Simple. So I now no longer have a 5-piece static, right? Now you see the loss occur, right? Because I'm no longer running that bonus to the applied effect. Now, the same thing goes with like Julianos or Spinners. So let's hypothetically say I add Spinners now as my static set. And I'm going to use the Niche as a secondary static on back bar, but not primary. So I would lose DPS because I wouldn't get a proc effect to occur, to carry over. So one of the major things I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to go ahead and just put on the Spinners for a static set, like primary static. Okay. And I want to make sure I have 2 niches. I do. And all right. So I have 5. And when I switch over, I have the, now see, so it's 5. But when you come here, I don't have the spell damage. Now the reason this is important, because if you look at Niche's Touch, I'm missing the 4-piece. Why? Because I have the Maelstrom Staff. right? So I'm missing that 124 spell damage. Now, why is this relative? Well, it's relative because when you take a look at the Maelstrom Lightning Staff, it gives me the 189 spell damage. So 189 is, guess what? A higher value than 124. Now, is it a necessity? Well, it depends. I mean, it definitely doesn't hurt you, for sure. But, you know, once again, when I come over here, now I'm running a 2-stat static set. So that becomes relative to what my damage is going to deal. 1708. 1708. Why? Because I'm adding extra penetrating value. I'm adding other stats to increase my damage output, right? I'm getting that bonus. Now, if I was to go ahead and, let's say, replace the Niche's Touch. Now, we're going to do that. So remember the 1007. Now, I have no food buff. I have, like I said, no Mundus. Hold on. 1582. I just want to get a hard number. 2373, 1582. Okay. Let this drop off. And this is kind of important. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put on the Architect. 5 pieces of it, because I'm going to replace the Niche's Touch. Now when I look, I have 5 pieces of this. Now here's the deal, guys. I'm not going to get this 5th beast bonus until what? Until I activate an ultimate ability, right? So when I cast the Fury, it's going to deal less damage, right? There's no theory to that. There's no theory to that. But what I end up gaining on the ultimate end is an applied effect to both bars on the swap, right? So I'm going to lose to gain, right? Think, like I always tell people, think of it as in Full Metal Alchemist, and the law of equivalent exchange in that anime. Because behind that, there is no theory. I already know that I'm losing on an ability because of the effect that I've traded off, right? That's why, to me, I'm not a theory crafter. I'm a class builder, right? I build to the class's full potential of what is beneficial to my rotation and my play style. And some players are going to have similar builds, and some are going to have some slightly indifferent. Now, one of the things that I don't like to, since one Tamriel, I feel like the Maelstrom and the Vet DSA weapons are really still good, and especially with the update that they've increased the light and heavy attack damage for these weapons, and I think that goes without saying. But you know, a lot of the things is the 189 to whatever the fact. So, I mean, is it a necessity to have it? In my opinion, no, it's not. It is still beneficial because you're stacking. Because if we were going ahead and look, right, let's go ahead here, and I will throw the Fury on this bar for a second. Okay, 1 second. Okay. So if I was going by the stat on this bar, 1520 with the Maelstrom 189, right? Now, if I exchange that, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll grab a Vet DSA staff. Same trait and shit. Like I said, I'm on PTS. I have precise. right? Now look, it's going to give me max magicka. This is going to deal less, right? Actually, it doesn't. Well, there it is, 1498. There it is. It's the secondary, but it does deal the less damage. I'll do it again. Two, 2, 8, 1. Let's see that crit again. 1642. 1642. Yeah, it did. It raises it. Okay. So, and the reason being, because I already know there's a 10-to-1 ratio between max magicka and spell damage, meaning spell damage will perform the max magicka, and that's why the apprentice outperforms the mage. But sometimes you need the mage depending on resources and other effects, like in Templar finishers where it scales off max magicka. So I already know this. I don't need a theory. I don't need a theory on that. I already know how it's applied. So, and that becomes relative, guys. Now, and missing stats, and everything's going to be reflective back to our character sheet, right? So what value numbers I'm missing, I need to make up or gain for, and that's where I'm going to take the correlating mundus, or I'm going to also enchant based on my missing variables, right? There's no theory crafting to that. There's none. I don't need something for a theory, right? These are all reflective to the character sheet. Simple. It's just that simple. I'm missing, guess what? I'm missing spell crit. Because guess what I don't have? I don't have a critical set on, right? So guess what mundus I would take? I take the thief. Because I need crit, right? Is that a theory? Do I need to make that a theory that I need that mundus for these two sets? No, I don't. So that's what I'm saying. Some people will claim certain builds are better. But once again, like if I was taking a proc set, I don't know if they've given me any proc sets. Let's go to dungeon sets. I don't think I do. It sucks, actually. I wish they would put some of the proc sets in here. But let's say I'm using Scathing Mage, right? When Scathing Mage procs, its effect is going to carry over, right? Same thing with, oh crap, like Moon Dancers. Effects carry over, right? So that would determine whether or not you want to use it on a dual wield or, you know, double stack your sets, go without the monster procs, so on and so forth, based on these parameters. I also play every class trying to play every role. The reason I do that is simple. I show viability in every role, that every role can play every class. So I'm not a theory crafter, right? I'm a class builder. Simple. I'm never going to tell you guys anything's best or anything's over, whatever, because what you gain, you're going to lose somewhere. That's always going to be the case. One of the major determining factors on your DPS is your rotation. You know, perfecting rotation is a big part of your damage output more than what you're making up in value for sets and what you're trying to do with your build per se. Like you see me with the Grothdar set. The Grothdar is good for close range proc. Problem of it is though, if I'm playing if it's close quarters, if I'm playing more range game, this set becomes ineffective. So I might benefit more than on Kina or another proc effect like maybe Neuroniths or something that has a distance effect to it where I can still play range and allow the proc to do its thing. So there's no theory crafting to that. There's none. There's zero. And if they want to call themselves theory crafters, that's fine. If you guys want to hate on me because I don't consider myself a theory crafter, that's fine too. But it is what it is, guys. You know, we're always going to be looking at a 5-piece static, unless for some reason you're not. I don't know why. And then sometimes you're either going to go ahead and stack for max stats, which you can do. So there's no proc. You're actually increasing your damage. So let's say if I didn't want to go ahead and use Grottar, right? I don't want to use it. It's a set that I'm not going to use. But, oh, sorry, wrong ability. But my Fury's dealing 15, 18, right? So let's say I get rid of the proc altogether. Let's just say that. Let's say I go in and I want to stack up the max stat. So I go into monster sets, right? And I know Lambris is going to give me more max magicka on top of it. So I'm going to replace those shoulders. I think it was medium shoulders. Let me make sure. No, it's heavy. All right. So I'm going to replace that because I'm going to get more max magicka. Now, since I'm giving up the procs effect, guess what that does to my abilities? It increases them because I'm stacking the stat. I'm giving up the proc to increase the abilities damage versus relying on the proc. Okay? It's not theory. It shouldn't even have to be theory. It should be considered common fucking sense. And I'm sorry, guys. This is the kind of stuff that why I'm always telling people, you don't have this, get over it. There are indifferent variables in this game. It's littered throughout the game. Diminishing returns littered throughout this game. Indifferent variables are littered throughout this game. What you gain, you'll lose somewhere else, and not in maybe equal value, but desired effect. Okay? Simple. So, once again, I'm just putting myself out there for the position and why I don't consider myself a theory crafter. All right. And once again, I'm never going to say that my builds are better than anybody's. I'm not going to tell you that there's a wrong way of doing anything. I just raise the questions. So there it is. So I hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you do have any questions or comments, please post below. I want to thank you guys for watching. And once again and always, thank you and have a nice day.